Hi.
You say hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Tell them which son you are.
Hi.
Just tell them which son you are. Yeah, that's fine.
I'm Ryan.
All right, get out of here. Go away.
I don't know what to do.
No, you're good. You're fine.
Okay.
Yeah, you're very cute. Very handsome. All right. So that's the first part of your extra credit. Which kid that was? He said it was Ryan. Anyway. All right, go away now. I gotta do work. Get out of here. So, all right. Sorry this is going up so late, but what am I going to do? All right. So today we spent time in class talking about Napoleon and his empire. And remember, one of the major components of Napoleon's empire is that he is absolutely going to, what is he going to do? He's going to conquer most of Europe, right? And the key thing with this is, remember, he's going to create nationalism throughout Europe. And what I mean by that is that he is going to spark revolution against him. So, like, even though he's going out and conquering, what he's essentially doing is he's causing people to kind of come together in these nation states to fight against him. So always keep in mind that Napoleon's conquering of Europe is going to result in the growth of nationalism. That's a huge concept that you have to be aware of. He always kind of spreads the Napoleonic Code. We talked about that in class today. But remember, nationalism is going to spark. Okay? So that's kind of important. Or it's actually really important. Nationalism, as you guys know, is pride in one's country. And the big thing with nationalism is that it's going to... Guy's so funny looking. Nationalism is going to do two things. One, it's either going to bring people together or it's going to break things apart. In this case, nationalism is going to bring people together, not based on fighting for a king anymore, but instead fighting on behalf of a nation or who the people are. So just keep that in mind as we kind of go through it, because that's going to be important later on. All right, so this kind of diagram shows you. Later on, we're going to see how nationalism is going to break up empires like Austria-Hungary prior to World War I. All right, so the thing that I want to focus on tonight is this thing called the Congress of Vienna. And the liberal approach is going to always be about moving forward, right? We talked about that in class, and this notion of nationalism. Because nationalism makes people be more aligned to their own people than the government itself, there's going to be a response to nationalism, which is called the Congress of Vienna. That's a meeting in 1815, and it's a response to this idea of nationalism. So their goal is to stop the spread of nationalism. All right? Let me see. I think I have a little outline on it. Okay. So it's going to happen in 1815. It's a meeting of the old regime to turn back the clock of time before the revolution and Napoleon. So what they're trying to do, it's a conservative approach, and they are trying to stop the spread of nationalism. They want to stop all of those Enlightenment philosophies. They want to stop all of those kinds of ideas from going on. Instead, they want to go back to the way it was, the old regime, back to, the days of absolutism, the days of, before the Enlightenment. So that's their goal, is they want to stop the spread of nationalism. The question is, will they be able to? Now, this meeting is going to be held in Vienna, Austria. The leader of the meeting is a guy by the name of von Metternich. This era actually is known as the Age of Metternich, from about 1815 to about 1871. You have this, if we were to go on, and those of you who are familiar with Les Mis, it's kind of centered around that. But from about 1815 to 1871, you have these pushes towards nationalism, which, right, is this idea of creating nation states and creating revolutionary movements to get rid of the monarchs. But the monarchs are going to do everything in their power to stop this from happening. And there's going to be 4 ways that they're going to do it. The first one deals with a balance of power. And I'll show you that in a second. What they mean by a balance of power is that they want to make sure that there is never going to be one person or one country that's stronger than everybody else. So they basically want to avoid a future Napoleon. So the first thing they do is try to maintain a balance of power by kind of making secret alliances with all of these different countries. And this is actually going to be a prelude to World War I 100 years later, because that balance of power is eventually going to break down. It's not going to work out. But the balance of power is to prevent any kind of leader from becoming like another Napoleon. The next part of it deals with the Holy Alliance. Now, this is kind of an interesting thing. An agreement is going to be made of the key monarchies in Europe, which is going to be the French monarchy, the Austrian monarchy, the Russian monarchy, and they're going to make a deal that no matter what happens in Europe around these years after 1815, if one of the countries being threatened by these ideas of nationalism, they're all going to come together and fight. So this is called that Holy Alliance. This is what's actually going to break down before World War I. The Holy Alliance is intended to protect each of their interests, and that if something goes badly, they're going to all kind of come together and fight on behalf of them. So this way, again, no other Napoleon, stopping the spread of nationalism and revolutions, all of those kinds of deals. So I hope you get that. The third component is what's called restoration. And what they mean by restoration, oh, by the way, this is Metternich. He's very conservative. That's what you have to really know about him. Okay. What was I going to say? Oh, restoration. Okay. So one of the things they're going to do in France is they're going to restore a new king to the throne of France. So anywhere in Europe where Napoleon was successful and the monarchs were kind of put alongside, what they're going to do is they're going to put people on those thrones of Europe. And they're not necessarily even real people. When I say real people, I mean like real monarchs, but they're relatives of that old regime. So they're going to put people on, like, for example, in France, they're going to put Louis XVII on the throne. He's a Bourbon. He's a relative of Louis XVI. And they're just kind of doing it to try to legitimize the monarchy again, to say, look, we're still here. We're going to handle this. We're going to do whatever we got to do. All right. So yeah. So that's that restoration part, restoring the old powers. Yeah. The part that you're going to be reading about tomorrow in class deals with the changes to the map of Europe. And the changes to the map of Europe is going to happen in terms of Germany and Italy. And I'll show you guys this map, and I'll keep it up here so you guys are familiar with it. Let me move my beautiful face out of the way. I know it's more handsome than beautiful. All right. So this on the left basically shows what Napoleon was able to accomplish, which you could see, like we talked about in class. He enters Russia, doesn't defeat it. He can't get to England. He leaves Portugal out. So he's got a really big impact. He doesn't get to the Ottomans, but I mean, his impact is pretty strong. In order to prevent any kind of nationalism, what they decide to do in Europe is they decide this Metternich and the members of the Congress of Vienna, they decide to break up the map of Europe, and the two places that they go to in particular are going to be Germany and Italy. And you can see it on this map. What they do is they take Germany. Let's see if I can find a good map. Oh, okay. So they take Germany, if you look at this map on the right, and they break it up into all of these little different pieces. And the reason why they do it is so that they can't come together to rebel against the monarchy. So what they actually do is, and they're going to do this in Italy as well, is they're going to place people in charge of those different provinces within Germany and within Italy in order to try to keep them from rebelling, to try to stop revolution, right? Everything is about stopping the weight of revolution, stopping the waves of revolution, stopping the waves of nationalism, making sure that nothing goes forward. Okay. So they're going to create this system, and they're going to make this Confederation of German States, which is going to be, and they're going to set something in place called the Carlsbad Decree, which you don't need to know, but it's a way to prevent future revolutions, and they're going to break up the map of Italy. So from 1815, though, to 1871, this was created, these people within Italy and Germany are all going to try to respond, and they're going to try to unify, and they're going to unify on the base of nationalism. And these are the important players that you're going to read about, and I'm not going to go into great detail. The German leader is going to be Otto von Bismarck. He is super famous. He is an important guy. So when you're reading the textbook, please make sure you pay attention to Otto von Bismarck and his policy of blood and iron. In Italy, you have three people. You have Mazzini, you have Cavour, and you have Garibaldi, who are responsible for unifying Italy. Whenever you see unification, what they mean by that is bringing the nation together under one common idea. And in 1870 and 1871, those areas are going to eventually become into unified states. This again is what it looks like during the age of Metternich, during the Congress of Vienna. And this is what those individual states are going to look like. Italy, if you think about it, hasn't been unified since the Roman Empire, rather. and the Germanic states have never been unified. So this is like a huge turn of events that these areas are now going to be called nation states, no longer under the control of monarchies. All right. So I just want you to be aware of this. I didn't get a chance to talk about it in class. I'm not going to have time to talk about the Congress of Vienna in class at all. We'll mention a little bit about unification. The key with this is those ideas from the French Revolution and the Enlightenment about liberty and equality and these ideas of freedom and having democracy are going to translate into these components of nationalism, where the people are now going to govern themselves and not a monarchy. So this is like another example of moving forward, how the French Revolution is impacting Europe. The next thing we're going to do, which we'll get into a little bit on Friday, no, a lot of it on Friday, is this: how is nationalism going to affect what's going on in the Americas, specifically Latin America? All right? Short and sweet, to the point. Last thing for extra credit. So the first thing you saw, Ryan, right? My son. He's a little bit weird. Okay, it's awesome though. And the second thing is that I don't know. I don't have anything else. I'm thinking. Let me put the no. Let me yeah. That's it. So next thing. No, that's it. So what I want you guys to do is make sure you took notes, hopefully, or watch it again. You always have access to this. You can do whatever you want. I'll tell you. So my basement, I refer to it as the hole. This is where I'm sent in my family to do my work, so I don't bother anyone. So that'll be the second extra credit for tomorrow. Okay, the hole. All right. Good night.